Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is Indy Fanatics, your home for IndyCar content with weekly podcasts and feature videos. Welcome back to another episode of the IndyCar Podcast. And we are here for the review of this year's Indy 500. Obviously, on Sunday, we had the unusual element that we got overexcited and we just blurted out for 25 minutes going, wow, race, good, Elio, type of thing. I think that pretty much summed up the reaction.
That was the recap of Sunday's video.
Yeah, so we're going to try and make this just a more concise review for those of you who just kind of want a nice short recap of the race with our usual top 5 moments. We'll go through our star performers. A note, we are ruling out our star performers because both of our picks from our predictions didn't go well. But more about that later. And then obviously we'll give a nod to the rookie performer of the year before handing it back over to you guys any of you who haven't let us know what you thought of the race so far. You can let us know what your top 5 moments were in the comments below. Shall we get into them?
Yeah, let's do it.
You got to go one?
Yeah, I'll go one. And that's, of course, where do you start? The start of the race, of the Indy 500. Bam! VK and Colton Herta. Scott Dixon, probably arguably one of the favourites for the race. They're like, no, he's not even going to lead the first lap. As Herta sends it, into turn 3. Overtook him into turn 3. And then VK was like, hang on a minute. I'm not letting Colton Herta, probably one of the second favourites for the race. I'm not letting him lead any more than a couple of laps. And I'm going to take him. Bam! The young guns charging off. Scott's like, whoa! I've won 6 titles. Give me another 500.
But it was that kind of vets versus youth storyline that was kind of promoted throughout the whole of the 500.
Yeah.
But there was a vet who showed up at the start as well. And Will Power was the shock getting into bump day and surviving, but obviously got into the kind of main race, started P32 on the grid. Well, Will worked his way up to 25th after the first lap. He had a bomb of a start. He just was flying past cars. He had a great onboard watching his start to the race. Really was brilliant. Needed to make up early places at the start of the race. And that is what Will Power did. Time for number 2?
Time for number 2.
Number 2, the pits. It was, a place where everyone has to go. But for some, it was a dreaded go from there. The first ones was a poorly timed caution for the guys who stayed out running long. Alexander Rossi and Scott Dixon.
But why was the caution brought out?
It was because going into the pits, Stefan Wilson's brakes didn't work, and he went into a spin coming down from obviously 200 and whatever 18 mile an hour to 60 mile an hour, and he went into a spin, binned it into the wall. The only one that did bin it into the wall, unfortunately, but brought out that first safety car.
The first victim of the pit lane.
And yeah, it's a weird one. We'll talk about it more after how it affected Dixon and Rossi. But yeah, Dixon and Rossi affected by that first caution brought out by Stefan Wilson's crash in the pits. They had to come in for emergency fuel, but they'd left it so late that they'd actually run out of fuel.
Yeah.
And the car just wouldn't start up, and it ended up with them both going a lap down because they had to come back in because the pits are closed under a caution. And so they had to only get a splash of fuel for emergency and then do another trip down thing. And Scott Dixon, the Speedway, just for whatever reason, doesn't like Scott Dixon. It's not a Scott Dixon fan because the guy's so quick there, legend of the sport, 6-time series champion, but only one Indy 500 win in 2008. And a man of his talent and his speed at the Speedway, 4 pole positions, it is a surprise that it just hasn't worked out his way in recent years. So, poor Scotty.
Poor Scott.
Poor Scott indeed.
But the pit lane wasn't done there.
It was not done indeed. We had Will Power have an issue in the pit. Simona Di Silvestro, Scott McLaughlin, Ryan Hunter-Ray, and obviously Stefan Wilson. So I think that was 5 incidents, 3 Penskes, 200.
One more.
What was the one more?
Rahal.
Well, Graham Rahal, technically, yes. Well, that's a separate one, but we'll bunch these ones together. So I haven't quite seen a kind of explanation about it, but I think you have to pump the brakes before coming into the pit. And it seems like they were coming into the pit, and Will Power, I think I heard talking about it, his brake pedal was on the floor, which sounds pretty scary. To me.
Well, yeah, I think they were trying to do something to maximise the speed, because you only use brakes when you come to the pit lane. So if you can... Yeah, I don't know the technical stuff, but it was something like they sacrificed some of the pressure in the brakes to maximise the speed or something like that.
But unfortunately, this was an issue, and I think it was an issue that it was almost pot luck to see who it affected, because Elio said in practice he had struggled with it, obviously eventual winner of the race. But yeah, he was fearful of it happening in the race. So yeah, Will Power probably, he was reckoning he might have even got a top 5 finish with his recovery from the back in terms of the pace and speed of where he was in a race. And yeah, really kind of sabotaged. But that last pit stop incident, Graham Rahal, best fuel efficiency of everyone on track, looked in a great position to be able to win this 500, but on his, what would turn out to his last pit stop, his pit team crew sent him out. His left rear tyre wasn't put on, fell off, had a nasty crash, really nasty. It did make you wince. Had memories of Alex Zanardi coming out and losing it out the pit lane. So it was really scary. Luckily, no one was seriously hurt in this incident, and the tyre affected Conor Daly's race, unfortunately, as well. But yeah, real shame for Graham, because it would have been really interesting to see how he would have been at the end.
Yeah.
Last point.
Another victim of the pit lane. It was taking down a lot of drivers.
It definitely was.
Point number 3. I need to remember.
Daly!
Conor, yes! Hometown boy! Conor Daly. After Herta, VK were enjoying the front. No! Conor, this is his town. This is his race. And he just blitzed it after the... It was the first caution, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. They absolutely blitzed it. Got to the front and ended up leading 40 laps of the race. Just
the most.
An incredible drive from Conor. I think they had a bit of a slow pit stop, which dropped them down. And then he got hit by the tyre from Graham Rahal.
Yeah.
So that was just a small damage to your aerodynamics, and it can seriously affect your pace. So he wasn't really a competitor after that.
No, it was really unfortunate, because Conor Daly had really driven, but like we said so many times, you got to get the pit stops right throughout the entirety of the race to really stand a chance of, winning this race. And unfortunately, Conor, that bad pit stop put him in a position where he got hit by that tyre. It was just an unfortunate knock-on of events that, cost him from maybe finishing a top 5 finish, because I think he probably would have finished in the top 5.
Yeah.
From that basis. But yeah, brilliant. The roar of the crowd was brilliant to hear, wasn't it? Yeah. It was amazing. They were really buzzing to hear Conor Daly doing it. And it was great to see him, have his chance at the front.
Yeah.
He is a very quick guy. But point number 4, Triple P, Paolo, Pato, Pagano. Brilliant races, and they were your 2, 3, 4 in this Indy 500. They were fantastic. Paolo and Pato, for the majority of the second half of the race, were up there fighting with Elio, and Paolo really, he has been a surprise package of 2021 for me. The way that he has really just hit the ground running with Ganassi, and, this talented Spanish kid, amazing driving so far. Now leads the championship by 36 points. Another brilliant drive.
Yeah.
The guy's never driven on ovals before last season. And
he nearly won the biggest one of them all.
Absolutely. And, Elio, a 3-time, now 4-time winner. But, at the time when he was racing him was a 3-time winner. So much experience at the circuit. Over 20 years there. But Paolo was right up there with him. And at times you were going, when Elio passed, you were like, that's it. Paolo won't get back. He was still there. And even to right at the end was still hanging on to Elio. And I think, incredible performance from him. But Pato as well. For, Arrow McLaren SP, they're a team that just keep getting stronger and stronger. Race, their kind of strategy was so good today.
Yep.
The Chevys just probably looked like they didn't have what it took to take down the Hondas in the race. But superb performance. And he went for it on that last lap and just went a little bit deep, I think, wasn't it? Coming out of corner 2 on the last lap that allowed Pagano, who came from, I believe it was row 9 on the starting grid.
28th.
Yeah. All the way up to finish on the podium in P3. The best runner of the Team Penske guys out there. And just at the end, he was the quickest guy out on track. And I don't know if he had enough for a push going there. I think if the traffic had come a lap earlier, we may be talking about Simon Pagano being a 2-time winner of the Indy 500. Because he was lightning. And with that traffic, he was right on the back of it. He was right. I mean, he would taken Paolo he didn't take Paolo, but as they crossed the line, very close margin between them. If it was another lap, he would have been right on Elio's back. But it wasn't to be. But Triple Ps, they were great.
The Triple P. And you've kind of touched on it. Point number 1, of course, goes to Ilya. The champion, 4-time champion, first non-American to win the 500 4 times. You can't really say, at 46 years old, you can't say much more. He didn't look like a 46-year-old, especially when he jumped out the car and started
Spider-Man!
Climbing up the walls, sprinting down the pit lane. Man still got it.
What a moment. And it's just crazy to believe he just managed that race from start to finish, worked his way up in the early stages, in the, that early part of the race where it's that chess game of where it's just kind of tussling for position, making sure he always stayed within that top 10, just maintain that position. And then obviously, when it came into the latter stages of the race, he got himself into that top 5, and then he was just saving his fuel. So he had it at the end. He knew it. He was kind of always sizing up Paolo. He sat comfortably behind Paolo for a lot of the race and just going, biding his time, knowing it. And then with 2 laps to go, he made his move and he made it stick. And he's a legend.
Yeah,
absolutely. Legend of the Speedway. And I still can't get around my head. You wouldn't think Team Penske, the most successful team in Indy 500 history, leaving that team. I was like, I don't think he's going to do it, anymore. I think this is just help Meyershank. He loves racing. He's just doing it for the love of it anymore, and he'll love to compete in the Indy 500. Stuff that. He's a 4-time Indy 500 winner. Yeah. He could do it again. Meyershank only are growing from strength to strength as a team. And, would you write them off next year? You never know. The Speedway always chooses the winner. But by the end of his career, he could be the outright all-time first ever person in history to win 5.
Jesus.
But mental.
Whew.
Amazing from Elliot.
Yeah.
Right. But star performers, like we said, my star performer was Ryan Hunter-Reay. He was up there. He had a chance, but he was one of the guys who suffered with the brakes.
The pit lane said no.
The pit lane said no to Ryan Hunter-Reay. Unfortunately, in the last pit stop, I believe it was. And, Ryan Hunter-Reay had to have nerves of steel because out of all of them, he properly lost it. Like, he almost went into Simona's crew.
Yeah.
Like, his brakes were like, whoa, pull my pants type of time. But yeah, from there, and Ed Jones, just the Dale Coyne cars just didn't have race pace.
Ed's, yeah.
Good quality pace,
I chose the wrong Ed.
Yeah, you did indeed.
The other Ed did all right in P5. But Ed Jones, I don't know what happened to Dale Coyne. because we'll come on to it. Rookie, Scott McLaughlin got rookie. Pietri just fell away as well. Dale Coyne just didn't have the race pace.
No, he didn't. He just, for whatever reason, seemed to not fall into place.
So yeah, as they both did equally bad. Well, okay, Ryan Hunter had a very good race, but his result ended up not being great. We're calling it no points. Thank God.
Seems like, thank God. No more. We can't extend the league.
Breaks.
We're what, 3-1 at the moment?
I think so.
3-1 at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to pick our individual star performer. So, Stephen, your star performer?
My star performer is Simon Pagano, coming all the way back to finish third. Everyone thought he had the race car to beat, and he kind of showed it, making up all those positions. And like I said, if lap traffic come a lap or two earlier, maybe he would have even got a second 500.
It was a superb performance from Pagano, but a Team Penske may be expected to do well. And like said, the kind of race trim, Roger Penske was talking about it, all the guys in Team Penske had very good race trim pace.
Yeah.
They did throughout.
Yeah.
You know who was a star performer though? Sage Karam. For Dryer Rainbow Racing, obviously the one-time Indy 500 entry over the past few years, they did used to run in the series a little bit more, but they've been in and around the sport for a while. This partnership with Sage has kind of developed and done well. Started on the back row, survived bump day, started P31 on the grid and worked their way up to P7 on the grid. Fantastic performance from Sage. Really was a great top 10 finish from him. And yeah, he just kind of went under the radar all race, I think. He just slowly, and that's what you can do in the 500. You can just slowly accumulate positions, making sure you nail your pit stops, get ahead, on different stages of the race, making sure you're taking some gambles, maybe with a couple of early stops and going to that. But they nailed it on strategy. And fantastic race.
P7, very impressive.
Very impressive indeed. So that is my star performer, 500. But I guess that's kind of it. You mentioned Scott McLaughlin. I would just say Scott McLaughlin had a fantastic rookie 500. Might have had a very good top 10 finish, but brakes were an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Broke the pit lane speed limiter and got a drive-through penalty.
Yeah.
Which was a real shame for him. Real shame.
Yeah. So they're another victim of the pit lane.
Absolutely. But that, I think, pretty much rounds up the Indy 500. Obviously, we'll be back with our feature video on Friday with Elio Castro Neves. He definitely didn't crash. Elio Castro Neves, four-time Indy 500 winner now, of course. We'll be looking at his career. And yeah, what a legend of the Speedway this guy is. So I hope you guys are going to be looking forward to it. And as always, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're new around here or haven't done so already though, Stephen, what can they do?
They can like, subscribe and ding that bell.
Ding it! So for now, you Indy fans, keep racing!